Hello, happy Easter. It's a cold day and it's one of those days where, yes, we'll have a happy Easter. Now, what's it about? The children will get presents to open, of course, although those who can eat chocolate get lots of it from relatives and so on. And we can think about Easter bonnets and bunnies and flowers, of course, and with it being a bit cooler, there's plenty of spring flowers that have stopped in their tracks and are looking lovely for us. Easter is everything. And today we remember the revelation of the resurrection. Jesus didn't rise from the dead because we discovered it. He rose from the death because death could not hold him. That's incredibly important. The church has got their ideas of death and judgment very wrong. If you go back and look at the medieval wall paintings and many cartoons and images over the centuries, and great works of literature such as Dante's Inferno, there is the idea that judgment consists of the devil on one hand, who keeps everybody in hell and torments them forever, and heaven on the other hand, where often people are depicted with wings in 90s playing harps. Be careful, because popular images can feed on the mind and give us an impression of something which isn't real, so that when the words are said, a different image comes up in the mind from the truth, and it's the truth that sets us free. So, what is it that I'm particularly driving at? Well, it's this. When Jesus died on the cross, one of the effects of that is that he has taken control over what happens after death. In Revelation, at the beginning, you'll see that Jesus is the Alpha and the Omega. That's the beginning and the end, the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet. He begins world history in the creation. He ends world history with the second coming. And he holds the keys of death and however we want to describe the opposite. Hades, hell, which is just a word really taken from the Norse. Whatever that non-God present afterlife is, Jesus is in charge of it. The devil doesn't have rights over us after death in the way that we might think he might. Because if Jesus has got the keys of death and hell, then the devil doesn't have his own front door key. What's happened on the cross, in effect, is that Jesus has taken possession of hell and changed the locks. If you look further into Revelation, you will see that the devil is making a mess of things here on earth out of sheer malice and spite. But what he cannot do is drag us all and after death and lock us in some nasty place to be tormented by himself and his demons, because they themselves are subject to judgment and torment and destruction. And you will see if you go to Revelation 20 that the ultimate fate of the devil is to be thrown into a lake of fire, which is described as the second death, the ultimate destruction and oblivion. But that is something for Jesus to decide upon. He is Lord and King. He is in charge. He has won the victory. And that victory over death is something that the Apostle Paul proclaims and explains in 1 Corinthians 15. And if you've not read 1 Corinthians 15, it's well worth having a look, because there's some very good stuff in there that will help us understand. What's it going to be like after death? What's our bodies going to be like after death? What is death for a Christian now in the light of the resurrection? Well, death is nothing at all, because death has no sting. Our bodies die, and that process is not always a very pleasant one. And for many people who are growing older, it is a frustrating one. Some of us find it easily to grow old more gracefully than others, and some of us do it less painfully than others. But in the end, our bodies, they will die. But we won't die with them. Christians know that they will rest in peace and rise in glory, and that Jesus, who has undertaken never to let us go, will take us beyond death into something so much better. And that's on the basis of the resurrection. We will have immortal bodies and will be free from pain and crying and tears, because the former things will have passed away. Now, you know, that process is not something which starts on death. Eternal life starts the moment we put our trust in him. And that's when the blessings of heaven start to come down into our lives. And the blessings of heaven are linked very firmly into the resurrection. You see this if you go and have a look at Ephesians chapter 1, and you'll see there that the power which is available to us as believers is like the working of the mighty strength which God exerted when he raised Christ from the dead. Jesus said to his disciples at the very end of Matthew's Gospel, "All authority on heaven and on earth has been given to me, therefore you go." Why? Because as ambassadors of the King, we have that authority. So much of all the blessings and benefits of the Christian life, and the calling, the quest, the entitlement, the direction, all of it flows not just out of the cross, but out of the resurrection. And so what we're going to do through the Sundays after Easter, going through to Ascension and Pentecost, is to explore that. You know, it's too easy to distill Christianity down to a hope of life after death. It is there. It's a sure hope. But there is so much more to Easter, to the resurrection, and to Pentecost than that. Happy Easter. And remember that for the Christian, the best is always yet to come.